Good afternoon, welcome to the Midday News, and to present it, my name is Amazing Katamanda. With the headlines: the Ministry of Youth fails to justify the procurement of 100 fuel tankers. The PF advised to allow former President Edgar Lungu to be the father of the nation.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the ministry.
There's so much data.
Mom.
Yes, baby.
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
And now the news in detail. The Constitutional Court has dismissed the case in which Patriots for Economic Progress leader Sean Tembo has petitioned the Electoral Commission of Zambia and the state over ECZ's failure to publicly display assets declared by President Hakainde Hichilema when he filed in his nomination papers for the 12th August 2021 general elections.
He was hopeful that the court would grant his plea following his petition last year against the Electoral Commission of Zambia that the commission should provide the general public with information in relation to the incumbent president declared assets. The Constitutional Court Monday, in its majority judgment, dismissed Mr. Sean Tembo's petition against ECZ and the Attorney General over ECZ's failure to publish assets declared by President Hakainde Hichilema when he filed in his nomination papers prior to the 12th August 2021 general elections. The court has observed that the omission by President Hichilema and other candidates in the 2021 general election to declare their assets did not contravene Article 52 of the Constitution.
We had a dissenting judgment from Honorable Justice Narula, who felt that the Electoral Commission of Zambia had an obligation to actually publish the declaration of assets for the president as well as other presidential candidates. So as things stand and as the judgment is, as delivered by the court, this country and the citizens of this country will not have the opportunity to know the assets for our Republican president, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, despite the fact that traditionally presidents are required to declare their assets. And personally, I believe that this is a very sad day in the democracy of our country, because the court has essentially decided to promote obscurity instead of transparency as far as our elected leaders are concerned. And that, ladies and gentlemen, can never be good for democracy.
During hearing of this petition, Mr. Tembo argued that the refusal by the Commission to provide information on the assets declared by the country's Republican President, Mr. Hichilema, when he filed in his nomination papers prior to the 12th August 2021 general election, was a violation of a fundamental principle of democracy, which is free flow of public information. The opposition leader of Patriots for Economic Progress had also argued before the Constitutional Court that ECZ breached the law for failure to provide information relating to the declaration of assets of Mr. Hichilema has requested because he is a duly registered political party representing the public. However, in response to his petition, ECZ had argued that the current country's Amendment Constitution 2 of 2016 has no provision which compels them to do so, and further that it had not breached any constitution as alleged by Mr. Tembo. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Ministry of Youth, Sports and Art has failed to explain before the Public Accounts Committee, who approved the procurement of 100 fuel tanker trucks against the 25 that were budgeted for. Officials from the ministry who appeared before the Public Accounts Committee Monday explained that the ministry had targeted to procure 25 fuel tankers, but the government ended up procuring 100 fuel tankers. Meanwhile, the Auditor General's report has indicated that the ministry misused 2.5 million kwacha meant for the development of the communication strategy, which was to guide how the youth empowerment was to be conducted.
Public Accounts Committee Monday has learned of how 153 million kwacha at the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Art was variated without any committee sitting to approve the variation of the resources. According to information contained in the Auditor General's report, the decision to variate the 153 million kwacha was only done between Director Youth and the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry.
Was there a committee which sat to agree on the variation? Because you wrote as well to advise management as a custodian of the funds, or what, to say, I'm running out in these votes.
Time this took place, I was out of station, so I think I'll be unable to give an exhaustive answer on that one.
And when asked who authorized the procurement of 100 fuel tanker trucks when an advert was being run in a daily tabloid for the procurement of 25 fuel tankers, the ministry representative failed to disclose where the authorization emanated from.
At the moment, two big issues here. One, you have got authority to procure 25 tankers. That authority you have. You don't have the authority to procure 75 tankers. So the question was, where did you get that authority from?
The EDGAR bus project had only supplied 25. So in the discussion, it was thought that since the trucks were cheaper, the cost was lower and could be more beneficial than the bus, then that company could supply the tankers.
Meanwhile, the report has also indicated that 2.5 million kwacha meant for the development of a communication strategy was never used for the right purpose, and Ministry Permanent Secretary Kangwa Chileshe says the act is highly regrettable.
PS, there was an allocation of 2.5 for communication strategy, and then in your report you had workshops, meetings and other activities, meaning that these workshops and meetings, they were supposed to be used to design the communication strategy. Meanwhile, after doing these activities of meetings, the communication strategy is not there in the ministry.
I would like to state again categorically, Chair, that to me this is regrettable, because I don't have any evidence with me that can verify that that is what happened. What I do know is that there is no communication strategy available in the ministry, and this is highly regrettable.
The committee has also summoned the former Ministry Permanent Secretary Joe Kapembwa to appear before the committee so as to explain who authorized the procurement of the fuel tankers when heads of department at the ministry have all denied being behind the authorization.
And I feel that PS Kapembwa was going to be the right person to answer to these queries, because chairs had submitted that to start with, authority was for 25 tankers, it moved to 75, and the purchase was advertised to invite bidders, and then on the way it was cancelled, and there was direct bidding involved, and there's communication to and from State House to PS Kapembwa.
The ministry has also informed the country that all tanker trucks and EDGAR buses given to the youths for empowerment have been retrieved, and that the right process will be followed to empower the youths going forward. Prudence Chota reporting for Camnet TV News.
A couple of Lusaka has pleaded not guilty before the Financial Crimes Court for being in possession of 51 houses, property believed to be proceeds of crime. This is in a matter in which Charles Loyana, 51, and his wife Susan Loyana, 46, both civil servants, have been jointly charged with 2 counts of corrupt practices involving concealment and possessions of property suspected to be proceeds of crime worth more than 37 million kwacha.
A Lusaka couple accused of being in possession of the infamous 51 houses located in Lusaka has been forced to take plea once again after the case was reallocated to a financial crimes court. Earlier this year, Charles Loyana, 51, a senior accountant at the Ministry of Finance, and his wife Susan Loyana, 46, an accountant at the Ministry of Works and Supply, pleaded not guilty to allegations that they possessed properties reasonably believed to be proceeds of crime. Mr. and Mrs. Loyana, who appeared before Lusaka Magistrate Friday Samaundu under the Financial Crimes Court, pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of corrupt practices involving concealment and possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime. The couple have maintained their earlier plea and have denied the 2 allegations that the state accuses them of. The offences the duo is charged with is contrary to Section 71, 1 of the Forfeiture of Proceeds of Crime Act No. 19 of 2010. It is alleged that the accused, on dates unknown, possessed 51 properties valued at 37 million kwacha. The 2 first made headlines when it was alleged that they owned the controversial 48 houses, but it was later discovered to be 51 after they were arrested last year by the Anti-Corruption Commission. The matter has been adjourned to the 26, 27 and 29 of April 2022 for commencement of trial. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Ministry of Information and Media Director spokesperson Tawakawana has urged the Patriotic Front to stop associating former President Edgar Lungu with its party affairs, allowing him to live as a father of the nation. Mr. Kawana tells Camnet News that failure to do so will undermine the office of the former head of state. He says following the demise of Mr. Lupia Banda, Mr. Lungu remains the only former head of state and a nation icon regardless of the circumstance.
An enhanced new lease of friendship and cooperation between our 2 presidents, the former President Edgar Lungu and President Hakainde Hichilema. And I think in saying this, I want to say it from the bottom of my heart to our colleagues in the PF that at a time such as this one, it is time to let go of President Lungu. The PF have to let go of President Lungu because now President Lungu becomes our national asset. He is the only surviving former president. And the more they entangle him in PF activities, the more he remains a partisan president, the more the country will, for the lack of a better term, disrespect him and see him as this leader of the opposition. So they need to quickly organize themselves, find themselves a new leader, and let go of President Lungu. He now belongs to all of us as Zambians and becomes the property of the state under the care of President Hakainde Hichilema. So we look forward to that kind of forged relationship between the 2 leaders.
Parents of school-going teenage girls in Chikankata district of Southern Province say their children have continued to miss an average of 5 school days in a month due to lack of sanitary towels.
For a long time now, the agenda of making sure that no girl child fails to go to school due to poor menstrual hygiene has remained topical, while some gender activists feel that the matter is not being addressed with the urgency it deserves by both the government and cooperating partners. Due to the high poverty levels in Zambia, buying sanitary towels for girl children has not been a priority for most families, as the World Bank indicates that over 50% of Zambians live on less than $1 a day. This has caused girl children, especially those in rural areas where poverty levels are higher, to miss an average of 5 school days per month, amounting to half a month of school in a full term due to poor menstrual hygiene. While concerned parties have been suggesting reducing taxes on sanitary towels to make them more affordable, others have suggested making them free in public schools. A mother of Chikankata district has told Camnet News that her school-going girls have continued missing school due to poor menstrual hygiene.
Some schools my lessons zama misa mwana kadwala like munga ma 12 years 14 years swaza vochita so mama kangiwa kuti aende ku skulu mama nkala pa manyumba mama iba mama uza ti sejo kama tiendo sebane ku skulu peta onkale ngate nga 1 week isazanka 1 week mwana ruzinga machani ma lessons attending ma lessons so you mandili affected so tezo pemba kungati mungatitandizeko kuri yo mchani mutandizeko.
Meanwhile, a grade 8 pupil of the same district has explained the challenges of going to school without proper menstrual hygiene.
But naenda ku school ndiko kunkana na banzanga pa desk. Kai nimapeza ngati nilibe paje. Manje kufaka kanyula paja. Ines manje kuti ninkali na banzanga bamuna nimabira nsoni. Kapani tending how many or 1 week so kuti niende ku school nimabira nsoni. Inkacha pepa nyumba kanyimbe vose renjesa. But drama imani so tini ende ni gulima parts. So nimasenza sacha betu manyula na nkala pa nyumba. Paja kakapaka kanyula niende na sama. Ku school kuti niende chinkanga. Kai kubeni vose renjesa ku school.
Minister of Community Development and Social Services Doreen Mwamba, during a Girls Indaba held at Mulungushi International Conference Center in December 2021, committed to ensuring that the new administration would embark on giving public school sanitary towels upon reopening in the new year. Young Women in Action Senior Programs Officer Ms. Walia Mukuka has challenged the UPND to embark on this cause if to attain the desired girl-child education.
So we want to remind our government on the promise they made that they will provide sanitary towels to all the young women, all the girls that are in school, especially the vulnerable girls, to please ensure that they deliver on their promise. We would like to see that the girls are not staying out of school because they're on their periods. There is nothing that we can do about our periods because this is a natural thing. So we need the government to come through right now. Schools opened in January, this is March 14th, and we have not heard anything from the government of Zambia on what is the next step in terms of providing the sanitary towels.
Ms. Mukuka notes that ensuring that no girl child misses school due to poor menstrual hygiene is the first step in achieving the desired gender equality by 2030. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News.
This brings us to our midday news, but before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. The Ministry of Youth fails to justify the procurement of 100 fuel tankers. The PF advised to allow former President Edgar Lungu to be the father of the nation. Thank you for joining us. My name is Amazing Katamanda. Good afternoon.